Yeah, some good parenting advice there. You know, parenting can be scary, especially when you don't have all the answers, and you're certainly going to want to pay attention to this story. Unfortunately, there's now a sixth suspected case right here in Washington of a rare condition that causes paralysis in kids. State health officials just made the announcement. Ted Land is here to talk to us about what parents should be looking out for. This is pretty serious stuff.
Right, Chris, we're talking about AFM, acute flaccid myelitis. It's a serious condition that doctors don't know a whole lot about. It's concerning because it can cause paralysis in arms and legs as well as weakness in children. Here's what we know about the suspected Washington cases today. There are 2 suspected cases in King County, one in Pierce, one in Lewis County, and one in Snohomish County. Now we know of a 6th possible case, but the state health department is not saying where that one is. I just spoke with one of the health officials leading the state response, and she has a message for parents.
We understand that this is really concerning, especially for parents, because all of the cases we've seen in Washington, at least, have been in children under the age of 6. It can definitely be concerning for parents. But what I want to remind everyone is that this is actually very rare. It happens in less than 1 in 1 million people. So it's very rare, but it is important to pay attention for the symptoms. And if you do notice that your child or anyone has a sudden onset of weakness or paralysis in 1 or more arms or legs, then they should seek health care right away.
Notice we keep saying suspected and possible cases. That's because the CDC is still investigating these, and it does take a while to have a firm diagnosis. That does not mean these children who have the suspected cases are not getting treated. Doctors can still treat the symptoms while they wait for an answer from the CDC. You know, Chris, researchers and doctors don't have a lot of history or information to work with because it was only in 2014 that the state here started noticing an uptick in these cases. So this is all fairly new to them.
Yeah, I mean, even the internet seems to be a bit confused. People referencing polio as they're all trying to connect the dots with what's going on. Is this something that other states are dealing with?
It is. It's not just Washington State. The CDC is investigating suspected cases in 16 different states, 38 suspected cases across the country.